Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if it's your first time. I am Tampa J. Starting this video off a little differently. I'm introducing a Civil War mountainous, treacherous hiking adventure that I took yesterday. I am heading to a spot called Camp Wildcat. This is one of the earliest battles in the Civil War. And little did I know until I got there, I was going to be hiking a long way out to it. And also, little did I know I would be discovering some Civil War trenches. I hope you enjoy the history. I hope you enjoy the journey. This is my experience in Kentucky. Just to set things up a little more, I am right off of Interstate 75. This battlefield, although it seems on a map that it's right off Interstate 75, you are, well, that's the video. I'll let you watch. Hope you enjoy this video. Thank you so much for always watching. There's much ahead. All right, I just turned on Hazel Patch Road. It says 3 miles this way is Camp Wildcat. And I have stopped along the old Wilderness Road. It's got this nice sign here. From this point north to Camp Wildcat, you are following the old Wilderness Road. It was commissioned as a wagon road in 1795 by Governor Isaac Shelby and was intended to be an improvement over the nearby Boone's Trace. Starting at Cumberland Gap, the Wilderness Road was a major immigrant route into Kentucky and American West. I can only imagine that some of my ancestors traveled on this road coming through the Cumberland Gap. That bridge down there, it got washed out some time ago. They've repaired it. It's just an old country road. You can hear the dogie sparking. We're still in Appalachia, or Appalachia. Camp Wildcat Civil War battlefield, 2.5 miles down Wilderness Road. Okay, I'm glad I have all-wheel drive. Check out this. As there's a Civil War cannon over there. Okay, maybe I should turn around and see that. This is pretty steep, dude. Look at this. All right, this is fun. Ha! I'm gonna go back and check out that cannon. Wildcat, home of the original Confederate encampment, October 1861. This monument was dedicated October 18th, 2008, in memory of the October 21st, 1861 Battle of Camp Wildcat and all who fought here, thanks to the London Laurel County Tourism Commission. There's the other marker there that I was reading as I walked up. So this is where the Confederates were encamped during that battle. This is one of the earliest battles of the Civil War. Right out here off the old Wilderness Road, there's a historic sign just kind of hiding out here. Talks about the Confederate encampment, October 20th, 21st, 1861. Got some illustrations for you here. It says that Moses Kemper Farm, the fields you see here were once the Civil War era farm of Moses Kemper. The old Wilderness Road ran through the farm, entering the fields on the southeast where it crossed Hazel Patch Creek, and exited on the northwest where it crossed the Little Rock Castle River. On October 20th, 1861, these fields became the camp of 3,250 Confederate men, commanded by Tennessee Brigadier General Felix Zollicoffer. All right, looks like we're exiting this road, Camp Wildcat, up this road. Look at this. Looks like I picked this car for this adventure. I have all-wheel drive. I don't know if I didn't. I don't know if I would risk this. It's a really soft road and it's raining. Whoa, there's a rock up there. Big rock. We've gone at least a half a mile. This is like a 3-mile trek on this road. 2 miles to go according to that sign. Look at the rock up here. That's like a cave. Oh, there's a cave. There's a car coming. I've been on some sketchy roads in my life, but never one like this to a national landmark. This is really cool. This is what I was hoping for, actually. Going right beside the creek now. Nice little stream. 56 degrees, not terrible. Here's a holler. This is Begley Holler. I wonder if a house used to sit there. Wide open field. Old stone here. I don't think you can read it anymore. It says something. It said something. Yeah, can't make it out. Woo! Almost there. Wildcat Mountain. Battlefield. Half mile. Good job getting us up here, car. There are two signs here. One says, help preserve our cultural heritage by leaving archaeological historical remains undisturbed. We shall do that. And this gives the history of Camp Wildcat and more history about the Wilderness Road. It's a cool map here. I don't know if it shows you where we're at, but we're somewhere in there. Here we are. Camp Wildcat Battlefield. Awesome. And for the second time this year, I have a Civil War battlefield all to myself. This is really nice. When I saw the image of this place, I did not know it was going to be a journey like that to the top. Totally worth it. Better than I expected. Looks like there's a monument up the hill over here. We'll check that out after we look at this over here. But it says Robinson Spring, quarter of a mile that way, and monument 300 feet. I think it's up that hill, so we'll go up there eventually. And underneath this gazebo here, as you can see, there's many different signs. Oh, glory. Glory, glory, hallelujah. I'm gonna sing the Battle Hymn of the Republic. All right, we got a map over here. You are here. And it looks like the battlefield is down the hill from here. And there are walking trails. Hoosier Knob, McFerrin Loop, Trailhead. So the battlefield's like out this way. Okay. And it's pretty big. It actually goes kind of down along the road we just came up. We are also in part of Daniel Boone National Forest here. Some of the battlefield goes in there. Battle of Camp Wildcat. Cool. Also, there's a QR code to donate. Hoosier Knob. As a Hoosier, kind of wondering what Hoosier Knob is all about. Hello! Battle of Camp Wildcat. It's a cool picture. On October 21st, 1861, the stillness of the forest was broken by the sound of musket fire. These hills witnessed the first battle between Union and Confederate armies in Kentucky. Walk lightly, you are touching the face of history. So this is the very first Civil War battle in Kentucky. That's really cool. The Civil War erupted at Fort Sumter, South Carolina on April 12th, 1861, despite promises from both sides to respect Kentucky's neutrality. By September, Union and Confederate troops had marched across her borders. Rumors flew of coming attacks and secret plots. And this right here talks about the other battles. Here's a nice little map here. Here we are, Wildcat. Also, there was a battle in Perryville, Mill Springs, Barbersville. Breeze is picking up here. I found the Wildcat battle map. We are here, and it looks like most of the battlefield, yes, it's down that way along the trails, and then the actual Camp Wildcat is where that monument is, up the hill. So we'll go there. It looks like 1st Ohio, 14th Ohio, 20th Tennessee, CSA, Indiana Infantry, 33rd. And this shows you how close to home this war was. 1st Tennessee Infantry, USA, and then you have Tennessee Confederate troops. You have Tennesseans fighting Tennesseans. You have Americans fighting Americans, of course, but very close to home. The battle heats up. Late in the morning, gunfire rose to roar as Confederate forces mounted an attack on the Union troops above them. The firing was very hard and in quick succession. The sound, resounding in hills, was perfectly terrific. John Wilkins, 33rd Indiana Infantry. I said it in my Hoosier accent. This talks about the battle before breakfast. Union meals were interrupted about 7 a.m. While I was eating breakfast. General Schopf rode up and told Colonel Coburn to get his men in line immediately, that the enemy were right on us. Stephen Keyes Fletcher, 33rd Indiana Infantry. After the battle, stories grew regarding the number of soldiers killed and wounded. The loss of the enemy is not known to us. It is variously estimated at from 50 to 300. And it says over here, the official count was 15 killed and 60 wounded for the Confederacy, and 4 killed and 18 wounded for the Union. Zollicoffer reconsiders. In the midst of battle, nearly 1,000 more Union soldiers and 6 cannons arrived from Camp Dick Robinson after a forced march of 45 miles in 38 hours. Confederates fall back, then attack. Confederate forces were forced back, but advanced again in the afternoon, attacking on both sides of the road. At 2 o'clock, we opened fire on them again. The fight was as hot as it was in the morning. William D. Moss, 20th Tennessee Infantry. All right, I'm going to walk down to Hoosier Knob here. Hoosier Knob, 3/4 of a mile. All right, I got to walk down into the battlefield. Have to. There's also a cannon down here. And I thought I brought extra shoes. I thought I threw them in my car, but I didn't. That's all right. Right here, it's the gravel. Hopefully it won't be too muddy. Field artillery at Camp Wildcat. A battery of field artillery is worth 1,000 muskets. General Tecumseh Sherman quoted there. There's a picture of him right there. Thought I heard something. Heard something. It's a cool cannon. Field artillery was used by both Union and Confederate forces during the battle. Fire! There's the trail. Looks like we got a nice little trail here. I see it meandering through the woods. I also see signs down in here. So far, not too bad. Got gravel. This is the Private Lewis McFerrin Trail. So it does a fork right here. We're going to continue on the Hoosier Knob Trail. Still says here we have 3/4 of a mile. What? I feel like I walked a quarter. Check out the moss on this rock right here. Here it says the Navy in the mountains. Needing men with military training and political connections to the region, President Lincoln called upon 2 Navy officers to help organize the war effort in eastern Kentucky. Samuel P. Carter and William Bull Nelson. This sign's kind of faded. It says a lieutenant in the Navy and a Kentucky native, Nelson, was instructed to recruit and train soldiers to liberate East Tennessee. He established Camp Dick Robinson for that purpose. Nelson was known for his hot temper, which eventually led to his death at the hands of a fellow Union officer. You know, I've come across a lot of Civil War battlefields. I've never seen one specifically where a troop or a regiment from Indiana fought and was named after Hoosier Knob. That's pretty exciting. And we were walking on the top of a ridge. Extra, extra. Read all about it. The Civil War is over. I'm thinking of Epcot, of course. Spaceship Earth. Newspapers as far away as Boston carried accounts of battle. Many correspondents were soldiers writing letters to newspapers back home. They often mix facts and opinions. I can only imagine. Over here, you can kind of see it there. We're walking up into that bigger hill. I think that's Hoosier's Knob. There are so many signs to read along the way. This one talks about the Wilderness Road again. See why they call it Knob. It's a big mound up here. Okay, this isn't Hoosier Knob. Signs over there pointing that way. This is a big hill. It says Thunder in the Hills. There's a trail up the hill too. Both armies and artillery during the battle of the booming of their cannon could be heard for 20 miles. I can imagine the echoes through the canyons. Some cool pictures. Heavy artillery. On the evening after the battle, anticipating another attack, Union soldiers hauled 2 cannon weighing nearly a ton each up this hill to the top of Hoosier Knob. Okay, so maybe there's another way up there. It says this way. That's a very steep hill. Half mile. Oh man. The wind's picked up. See the trees moving? Worries about the home front. Worries about the home front. Soldiers at Wildcat were often torn between duty and their cares at home. I can only imagine. Stephen Fletcher. Colonel Rains. And Colonel Garrett. This is the other side of that hill that we just passed. It's a giant straight down rock wall on this side. Look at that. Might be some caves in there. Also, I'm keeping my eyes and ears peeled for Bigfoot. Oh, log has fallen. Oh no. Oh wow. Dude. There's a cave over here. It's not a very big cave, but it is a cave. I wonder if the soldiers took shelter in here. Really neat. Hello? Yeah, it's just a little cutout. It's neat. Up and over. Made it. No, I made it. Mossy rock. Are we there yet? Never seen a wall like that in Florida, that's for sure. And we got a bench up here. The trail continues this way. Oh wow, so it goes, check this out. So we just came around, caves down there to the right. It goes down, you can kind of see it here. Down and around and up that way. Woo! This is all a bit off more than I could chew, but I'm going to chew it. Wow, this was a fortress. So if the Union Army was up there, unless you came around this way, you were sitting ducks, by the way. They were shooting down at you, but you had to climb up that. No wonder they retreated. Looks like there might be another cave up here. Exactly what I was just saying. Geology helped the Union. On the 21st, I reached the enemy's entrenched, it's hard to make this out, camp on Rock Castle Hill, a natural fortification. Rock Castle Hill. It's pretty cool. Union could have camped out here the whole war. Not realistic, but think about it. Come get us. This is the other way, just to show you what's going on. They would have to walk up the mountain or come up that valley, taking fire from cannons, sharpshooters, the whole Union infantry. So we are now walking up, trail curled around. We're now walking on top of where those cliffs were, back up that hill. I wonder if there's a shortcut on the way down. Woo. All right. That was definitely the steepest climb of this hike. Almost to the top. I think that's Hoosier Knob right there. Deadly Valley. I ordered the works to be charged. Colonel Tazewell Newman, 17th Tennessee Infantry. It was up this ridge that Confederate Colonel Tazewell Newman led 4 companies of the 17th Tennessee Infantry, supported by 3 companies of the 29th Tennessee Infantry, in an assault on Hoosier Knob. Confederates are hit hard. Newman's men were met with deadly blasts of Union gunfire. Company E was hit the hardest, with 6 soldiers killed and 17 wounded. The dead included O.P. Newman, who was shot through the head while standing near his brother, the colonel. Ouch. Captain became governor. Company E was commanded by Captain Albert Marks. Marks had enlisted in the Confederate Army. Despite his opposition to Tennessee's decision to leave the Union, he later became governor of Tennessee. University of Tennessee. Huh. Yeah, it sounds pretty brutal. Hoorah to Hoosier's Knob. Wind picked up. So I was making the climb. I'm out of breath, but it appears we have reached the top. There's another cannon up here. If these trees weren't here, you could see all the way around us. You can see the ridge lines out there. This shallow ring trenches is the only physical reminder we have of dramatic events that took place on this hill more than 100 years ago. Please help protect it by staying on the trail. Okay, so there are trenches. Oh, here's the trenches. Wow, these are Civil War trenches right here. So it's asking you not to climb down in them. That's amazing. Yeah, it looks like they go all the way around. That's cool. Another cannon. The trail, the cliffs that we walk past are right down there. Hoosier Knob, point of attack. The main attack came late in the morning. 600 Confederate soldiers emerged from the woods below to within 30 steps of where you now stand. They soon came near us under cover of wood, which entirely concealed their approach. Colonel John Coburn, 33rd Indiana Infantry. Hoosier Knob was defended by 600 Union soldiers from the 33rd Indiana Infantry and the 1st Kentucky Cavalry. Most had never seen battle. Some of the trenches down here. The Confederates approached with wild cheers and loud oaths, but were met with volley after volley, which repulsed them. They fled, leaving their dead and wounded. John McBride, 33rd Indiana Infantry. I know a lot of McBrides from back in Henry County. All right, so it looks like we just do a loop around the knob up here. We can look down at the trenches. It's pretty wild. Wildcat, hence the name. We still got to go back, check out that monument. Trenches, Civil War trenches. Union line almost breaks. During the fighting on Hoosier Knob, some Union soldiers began to panic and run. They found themselves facing the guns of their own officers. Get back! Got the trench right here. I believe this is north. On the morning of the battle, the only Union fortification on this hill was a small breastwork of logs at the north end of the knob. Most of these entrenchments were dug in the afternoon only after the hardest fighting had ended. Union reinforcements from the 14th and the 17th Ohio regiments used bayonets, picks, and shovels to help construct defenses. By evening, 1,200 Union soldiers camped behind a shoulder-high ring of trenches and logs. They had 1,200 men up here. It's hard to imagine that. They must have been on top of each other. Trailhead parking lot, half-mile this way. Well, there's a shortcut. Okay, I think I'll go down that way. Just walking all the way around here. You can see the ridge out there. Dealing with death. The thought of laying those men in the ground Far, far from home was more than could be borne. John Wilkins, 33, Indiana. Union soldiers from the 1st and 2nd Tennessee Infantry who arrived after the battle and helped our Confederate dead knew many by name. They found among the dead many acquaintances, neighbors, cousins, brothers, and in one case, a father. Quoted correspondent for the Boston Courier. Says the Union held military funerals for the dead, tributes were paid, and music played. And Confederate dead were buried without ceremony near where they fell. And vice versa for Southern battlefields. Okay, without getting off the trail, this is the closest point to the center you can get. See the ridges out there? Cannon back that way. This is the last sign up here. It talks about disease more deadly than the guns. They coughed in platoons like the musketry of a wildcat. Disease attacks after the battle. The Union Army, which suffered only 4 deaths at Wildcat, lost more than 200 to disease after the battle. There was much sickness with diarrhea, dysentery, measles, and fevers, said Jonathan Wood of the 14th Ohio. This is the London Seminary Hospital. Well, it was a church that served as a hospital in London. Hoosier suffered. The 33rd Infantry suffered the most. By early December, from 2 to 5 of its soldiers were dying every day. Regiment bands were ordered to stop playing music at funerals because it depressed the living. At one point, less than 100 men out of 1,000 were able to fight, and the regiment was declared unfit for duty. All right, so I've got my EVP recorder here, just like I did the other day at the President Andrew Johnson gravesite. I'm going to let this run a little bit, see if we catch anything. I will update the video if I do. All right, I'm going to let that go right there. Hello? Anyone out here? Anyone that wants to talk about what happened? My name's Jay. I was born in Henry County, Indiana, from a town called Newcastle. Also lived in Greenfield. Actually, I was born in Raintree County, Indiana. They changed the name. From Rose City. They changed the name of Newcastle too. It was originally Rose City. If you want to come forward, right over here, I have a box, and if you talk into it, we can hear your story. Or maybe you're not from the Union. Maybe you're a Confederate soldier. Just come here. We can talk. Get closer to the trenches. It's pretty wild. Wildcat Mountain. This was exciting. At first I was like, I don't know if I want to hike up here. But totally worth it. Just to see these trenches. I thought that was like the highlight there. I've never seen Civil War trenches like that. Catherine Merrill was one of several women who traveled to Kentucky from Indiana to help care for the sick. The little town with encampments around it seemed to be one great hospital. Catherine Merrill, Indiana Historical Society. When I was a kid, I was a member of the Indiana Junior Historical Society for 2 years. All right, I'm going to put this away. Nothing found. Why? This thing malfunctioned. It only recorded for 8 seconds. I don't know what happened. I clicked record just like I always do. And the audio file, even though it went for quite some time, was only 8 seconds long. Usually you just hit this red button, put it down, hit the red button to turn it off. Weird. Paranormal. Maybe. I'll let you decide. Back to the video. Okay. I'm going to head back to the other side of Hoosier's Knob there and take the shortcut. Just want to let everyone know out here, I came in peace and I'll leave in peace. Whatever you do, don't follow me home. Thank you. And also, thanks for your service. All right, trailhead parking lot, half mile, and passing through this side of the trench. Hopefully this comes out to the same parking lot that I parked in. There can't be two, right? All downhill, but this path a little more narrow. It is starting to rain a little bit, but I thought ahead. I brought an umbrella. I got it with me. Okay, so this leads me back down to the main trail. So that was a shortcut, and that was Hoosier's Knob. So yeah, if you want to bypass that journey, but you don't get to see all the signs, there is a shortcut right here. We went that way, around the knob the longest way, the scenic way, the educational way, but that is a shortcut right there. Cool. All right. All downhill from here. And that was an easier trek back to the parking lot. That was awesome. Welcome back to Camp Wildcat. We're going to head up beyond the hill, beyond the parking lot, and head up that staircase to that monument. And I'm still the only one here. Flag's still flying. All right, it says the monument's 300 feet. Should just be right up here. Infantry Ridge Trail. No horses. Okay. I didn't bring one. Another steep climb here. Woo! Bet you this might be not the monument. I think this is just the ridge. I think the monument is down the road 300 feet. Whoopsie. All right. Still fun. Okay, so up here was the nerve center for the Union Army. The area around you and along the trail was the headquarters camp of one of the senior Union commanders at Camp Wildcat, Colonel Theo T. Garrard. There he is right there, 7th Kentucky Infantry, United States. Garrard, 1812 to 1902, was from nearby Manchester and a veteran of the Mexican War. He was the son of a prominent Kentucky family and had 3 cousins serve as senior commanders in the U.S. Army during the Civil War. In 1861, he recruited the 7th Kentucky Infantry and led them here to Camp Wildcat. And the monument is down another set of steps there, and it was off the road. This hill and the road intersection below, near where the battle monument is today, was the Confederate objective during the battle. Federal units camped in this area in tents and dug earthworks to protect this key position. Many of these fortifications remain visible today. One of those earthworks, one of the trenches right there. You can kind of see it there. The other side. The ones on top of Hoosier Knob are in better shape. One reason I'm starting to hustle, it's going to be dark soon. And I drove 4 miles up into here. I did not see one street lamp. It's going to be so dark out here. So I want to get out by dusk. All right, I took the long way. That's it. I can see it down there. You see it? There's also a spring 1/8 of a mile that way. I'll have to save that for another time. This is the monument. Cool. The official Battle of Wildcat Memorial. Looks like someone's recently left flowers out here. There's a very old marker over here. We'll start with that. 150 years, 1792 to 1942. Not so sure what that marker means. That's all you can make out. Site of the Civil War battle, October 21st, 1861, in memory of those who fought here. This monument dedicated on October 17th, 1992, in Kentucky's bicentennial year. And then you have a marker for the Union over here. Union Regiment, Laurel Home Guard, 7th Kentucky, 33 Indiana, 17th and 14th of Ohio Infantry, 1st Kentucky Cavalry Battery, 1st Ohio Artillery, stand 2nd East Tennessee 38th Ohio, and then over here, Confederate regiments, 11th 7th Tennessee, 20th Tennessee, 19th Tennessee, 15th Mississippi, and 16th Alabama. Mostly Tennessee. It's not too far. Again, it only took me a little over an hour to get here. Another sign of the Battle of Wildcat. And this one down here talks about Wildcat School. It's a class photo from 1921. Check that out. The Wildcat School was located 300 feet east of here along the Winding Blade Road. It was one-room, wooden clapboard-sided building serviced by an outdoor privy, and a nearby spring provided water, active from the late 19th century into the 1940s. The school served this mountain community with grades 1 to 8. That's cool. I'm sure they got to see a lot of the battlefield. I mean, at that point, it was 40, 50 years away. I don't know, by then about 60. But I'm sure they saw a lot more than we can see today. This is a picture of an artist's conception of the battle. This is Hoosier's Knob. So that's that area we were at. At that time, no trees up there. All right, that was fun. I really enjoyed the hike out to Hoosier's Knob. At first, I was like, what am I doing? But it was worth the reward. Seeing those trenches was really cool. I've never seen Civil War trenches that are that intact. So that was cool. And just learning of the history, there being an Indiana infantry out here, and just how rural it is. I didn't imagine I would be coming up a mountain like I did. I imagined it was a ridge or something, but I didn't know it was going to be treacherous. Either do this the hard way or the easy way. The easy way. So it looks a lot closer than it is, but do you see that tree line out beyond this one right here? That's Hoosier's Knob. But you have to walk and meander and go around to get out there. It looks a lot closer, just to put things into perspective for you. Infantry Ridge. Not a soul came out here while we were here. Or at least one that's alive. Cool. Civil War battlefield. All to myself. I love it. It says we need to get out of here too. Area closes at sunset. That'll be pretty soon. Alright guys, I think I'm going to end it right here. I have an hour and 40-minute drive back home to East Tennessee. So I'm just going to get going. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know what your favorite part was. Let me know if I missed anything. And just know that you're awesome, that you're loved, and no matter who you are, and no matter what you're going through, just know that there's always much ahead. Thank you. Thank you so much. Had a great day today. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys very soon. I'm about to hit the road and take some trips. If you were following along last week, I announced that. Didn't say really where I was going, but where I'm going has been planned since November last year. I've had these plans for quite a while. So there you go. See you there. Hope to see you there. Appreciate it. All right, I'll be home by dinner. Look at that. Love living where I live. Access to so much I've never seen before. Really grateful. All right, guys, I'll see you later. I gotta put this thing away and have a little fun. Yeah! All right, push it out first. And there's the waterfall that I missed on the way in. I was passing a car right here. Couldn't stop and see it. Battlefield, back that way 2 miles. That's the sign says. All right, guys, I'm gonna end it, I swear. Thank you so much for watching my Civil War adventure. See you next time.